We have two tone poems by Richard Strauss. On the menu for you tonight, we have a superb piece by Dinuk Wijeratne, and we have Rachmaninoff's Paganini Variations performed by a young Canadian shooting star, the winner of the Chopin competition, Bruce Liu. And I think particularly for the two Strauss works, it's really helpful as a listener, it's definitely helpful for me as a performer, to just have a brief insight into the story that he's trying to tell through music. So if you'll allow me, I'll give you a brief introduction to the piece you're about to hear, Till Eulenspiegel. What on earth did I just say? Till Eulenspiegel is the name of a character from the 13th century in Germany. And for around 1,000 years, his story has been told to German children and to German adults and anybody who's interested in hearing a fun story about how he traveled around the country and made fun of people. It's called Till Eulenspiegel and His Merry Pranks. So, Richard Strauss, it's like late 19th century. How am I going to tell this story using a symphony orchestra? Well, the first thing he does is he gives us Once Upon a Time. In German, it's Es war einmal ein Schelm. Once upon a time, there was a prankster. If you have those words I said in German in your mind, Es war einmal ein Schelm, and you listen to the first notes of the violins, it's exactly like it. It's saying, once upon a time, and then he starts the story. How do you depict a naughty boy, a prankster in music? Well, you pick a rhythm that's really odd. Our fundamental beat is 1, 2, 1, 2. Nothing complicated about that. But he decides that the theme for this fellow, Till Eulenspiegel, should just have 7/8 notes. So it goes like this. It goes across the beat the whole time, so you don't know what's happening. So that's the naughty protagonist of our story. And it's, by the way, played on the horn. In one of the great daddy issues of classical music, Strauss put almost everything that's difficult that he wrote on the horn because his father was a great horn player. He never dealt with it, he never talked about it, but it's pretty obvious what he was doing. Anyway, we meet Till Eulenspiegel, and that's his character. For the first couple of minutes of the piece, we just hear how fun he is. There's a sort of climax, and then things get soft, and then you hear the cellos and the basses go, bo-bum, bo-bum, bo-bum. And that's him thinking, what could I do that would be naughty? And then he spies some ladies at a market shopping, and so he decides to ride into the market on his horse and scare them. And you hear them go like that, and the cymbals goes psh, and then they say, get out, get out, get out, and you hear them barking at him, telling him to go away. That calms down. Then he sees a group of monks over there, played beautifully by our viola section, who go torim, pom, pom, down the street. And he decides to put on a habit and walk behind them and then start making fun of them, and they become furious, and he moves on to his next thing. His next thing is that he meets the wisest people in the country. Bom, 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 bom. It's in the woodwinds. You're going to hear the bassoons being very serious and pedantic. And then he decides to join that group and have an argument with him, and that music you hear, bom, 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 starts to get completely disjointed across the orchestra. It sounds like we're making lots of mistakes. We are not. They're written out mistakes, okay? Then he falls in love, and you hear this light music where his theme from the beginning is turned into something that's sparkling and happy, and it builds to kind of an endorphin rush. And then finally, he meets his makers, so to speak. He meets the wrong people, the kind of authorities, the police. They grab him and they take him to court, and you'll hear that the side drum and the tenor drum go with a drum roll, and you hear the verdict being read, da, beep, ba, beep, and Till Eulenspiegel, now transposed onto the very high clarinet over on that side, he goes, what did I do? Nothing. And then it carries on, and then finally, they say, no, you did something very, very bad, and they string him up. You'll hear unequivocally the moment that he gets strung up, he goes, hee, and then he passes away. And like any good Once Upon a Time story, it ends with Once Upon a Time. And the music from the beginning says there was a guy called Till Eulenspiegel, and he was very naughty, and what happens to naughty boys? They get strung up by their neck.